I was actually a school teacher, almost 30 years old, had remarried and was living my best life. And someone brought meth into my home, and I didn't say no. As much as I hated it, I was addicted. So that started me on a path of just destruction and losing everything that I knew and loved in about 8 months. I stayed in and out of addiction, active addiction, for about 15 years. Yeah. This last time, the last time that I was out there in active addiction, it was really bad. I found myself stuck in a place that in my right mind, I knew I didn't need to be, but my addiction was so strong and so powerful that I kept going back there. That led me into facing some hefty charges that put me in jail in a situation where there was no bond to be set. There was no, you know, yeah. So I was sat down, and it was during that time that I knew that I had to do something different, and that's what led me on this path of recovery. Someone told a story one time that I can really relate to. It's about kind of becoming a cooked frog. It happened quickly but slowly at the same time. So it's like if you throw a frog into a pot of boiling water, it'll jump out, right? But if you put it in that water and you slowly heat it up, you get a cooked frog. And I became a cooked frog. Yeah, couldn't get out. Well, I took a leave of absence from my job as a school teacher. My parents didn't trust me. My ex-husband didn't trust me. My kids were taken from my home. I never lost rights, but I lost discretion. So for years, that's the worst thing that has ever happened as a result of my addiction and the choices that I was making. It's been a long road, it's been a long road, but I have two wonderful grown kids and three grandkids. They have loved me throughout, and they've seen me go from really struggling to being a light in the dark for people who are out there in active addiction. Yeah, it was like taking my arms, I need these guys. And so I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to stop using. I knew that I didn't want to live a life without my kids, but I was so far down in my addiction, I just self-destructed. I would go through, so for about 15 years, I would have a pattern of using for about 8 or 9 months, losing everything. I would go off to a treatment or rehab or jail, get myself together, do great for about a year and a half, and then go back down that path, So it was a vicious cycle for me and for everyone that I love. So my drug of choice was pretty much whatever. Towards the end. There were a couple of times that I received drugs that were, like hindsight, they were laced with fentanyl. And just by the grace of God, I survived that. I can remember waking up from days of just being knocked out or whatnot. But my experience is that in the past, I would say the past 5 years. So I've been in, let me go back and say this. I've been in long-term recovery for 3 years and 9 months. Okay, so my pathway my journey this time started while I was incarcerated. But my drug use, the year and a half before, was a little different because fentanyl entered. It seemed like it entered the scene. So people started dying all around me. People who were using meth were dying. People who were using opioids, getting a pill, were dying. People who were using heroin were dying because these things were laced with fentanyl. my choices and my addiction has nothing to do with the way that I was raised. I was raised right, you know. At 19, I joined the Marine Corps, got out, went to college, had my kids, raised 2 wonderful kids, was a kindergarten teacher. And because I said yes one time, I became addicted.
Got it.
Yeah. Drugs don't care who you are. Fentanyl does not care who you are. I have a peer that I mentor right now who became addicted because he developed cancer at 17 years old. And he got addicted to opioids. And then here comes the fentanyl and the heroin. It's a vicious cycle.
Right.
This kid was on his way to be a professional golf player. Yeah. So there's no discrimination. There's none. I was just having this conversation with my sister yesterday. Both of her kids are college-age kids, and we were just talking about having that hard talk with your kids because it's scary out there.
Yeah.
You know, you don't just go buy marijuana anymore and feel like, oh, it's just marijuana, because you just don't know right now. So what's the difference in people in recovery now?
Yeah, versus maybe 5 or 10 years ago.
5 or 10 years ago, you know, you could find a 12-step meeting, get in that meeting, and you know, lay a foundation, get a sponsor, work some steps. Those tools are wonderful. Here's an example. The other night, I was leading an AA meeting that we have every Monday night or Wednesday night at my place of work. 3 young women came in who are all fentanyl overdose survivors that are just there, just trying to just holding on. Each girl, when we went around and we just kind of checked in and told our stories and how we got here, had been left for dead, or had been revived with Narcan, or had a story of losing their best friend, losing their mom, getting out of jail and being afraid to ask how so-and-so's doing because they had overdosed and died by using fentanyl. It is a very big problem. It is a real problem.
And
My heart, just like, there's a really soft place in my heart for the girls and guys that come in and they're, you know, their drug of choice is opioids or fentanyl or heroin. I do have a special place for all of them, but it just touches a place in my heart because I just look at them and I tell them all, I don't want you to die. I don't want you to die, you know. And then I tell them about the fentanyl, and that's harm reduction, you know, or about the Narcan for the fentanyl, you know, as harm reduction. And I send them, we keep boxes of it out on the front porch at Your Haven in Buchanan. Come get it, no questions asked. Please take a box, take one for your friend, you know, that kind of thing. So Your Haven is an RCO, which is a recovery community organization. It's a nonprofit. I work there as the peer navigator, and what that means is that you can come in off the street, sit down with me. If you want recovery, if you want to try out a new way to live and you don't know how to do it, we can sit down and figure out your pathway. Anyone can come into Your Haven. Hours of operation are normal working hours. We have recovery meetings all week long. So if you go to yourhavenrecovery.com or look us up on Facebook, and you can find all that. We just try to meet people where they're at. We try to provide education for parents, for loved ones. We have all recovery on Saturdays, which supports all pathways to recovery. We go in the jail in Haralson County and teach reentry program.
okay.
Go in there and shine a light in the dark for those that are incarcerated. Our belief is that recovering out loud could encourage someone else. And so she would take this picture after our meeting and post it on Facebook. I was like, oh, okay, don't tag me. Okay, but then someone saw me, sent a message and said, hey, I'm so proud of you. I know what you went through. I want to live a better life too. How do I do it? God said, if you don't do this, everything you went through was for nothing. If you don't give back your recovery and show other people how to do it, everything you went through was for nothing. Yeah.